Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam Review course. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone. We are on the 8th chapter of the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, we are discussing how King Rishabdev, after he ruled the kingdom for 1 crore years, then he gave the kingdom to Bharat Maharaj, who was having all the wonderful qualities. He was the best of the devotees of the Lord. And then he departed and he behaved like a Avadhuta, and he perfected his life. And although he was the incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, but he showed by his personal example how a renunciant should behave after leaving the family. And then it is described that the King Bharat, when he became the Bharat Maharaj, when he became the king, he married Panchajani, the daughter of Vishwarupa, and from her, he had 5 sons. And then he ruled the kingdom just like a perfect father, and he was taking care of the citizens very nicely, and he would perform all the sacrifices, although it may look that they are karmic rituals, but still he would do, because he would offer the results to the Supreme Lord to set a right example for people in general. And then when he would offer some oblations in the fire of sacrifice, he would, the priests, when they would offer mantras, Indraya Swaha, Chandraya Swaha, Suryaya Swaha, so he would think that, oh, these are the various limbs of Lord. And in this way, he performed his service to the citizens, ruling the kingdom very nicely. And in this way, he ruled for a long time. And then after that, he departed, he retired from his family, and he resided at Pulaha Ashram, where the Gandaki river is there. In the Gandaki river, the very well-known Shaligram Shilas, they are found. So he lived there alone and worshipped the Lord with flowers and the water from the Gandaki river. And every day his devotion to the Lord increased to such an extent that he would have symptoms of ecstasy. He would cry tears, and he would sometimes sing, sometimes cry, sometimes laugh. So that was the state of Bharat Maharaj. He was at the stage of Bhava. He had attained the perfection of Bhava platform. And in this way, he was worshipping Lord Narayan every day. So then in the 8th chapter, it is described how Bharat Maharaj, he became attached to a baby deer. And in this way, he became slowly distracted from his family, from his devotional service. So it so happened that one day, when Bharat Maharaj was doing his puja on the bank of Gandaki river, so after finishing his morning duties, Bharat Maharaj was sitting on the bank of Gandaki river and he was chanting his mantras. And a thirsty doe, female deer, she came to drink water from the Gandaki river. And while she was drinking water, she heard a very frightful roar of a lion. And hearing that, she became very afraid. And suddenly she leaped across the river to save her life. Although she had not quenched her thirst, but still, just to save her life, she jumped. But the problem was the doe was pregnant. And when she jumped out of the fear of the lion, the baby from her womb fell down in the river. And being separated from her child, and she was so much troubled by the distress of the miscarriage. The black doe, she fell down in a cave and died. And Bharat Maharaj, he's seeing all this. And Bharat, because he was such a great king and he was such a great devotee, he saw the small baby deer, small fawn floating on the river. And he felt great compassion for this baby deer who was actually drowning. So Bharat Maharaj, he lifted the baby deer from the waves, and knowing that now this baby deer is motherless, he brought this baby deer to his own ashram. Prabhupada writes a very beautiful line here. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, spiritual salvation and liberation from material bondage must be worked out with great caution. Otherwise, a little discrepancy will cause one to fall down again into the material existence. So that's how when we are doing our preaching activities or when we are doing some material things helping other people, it is all good, it is amazing, wonderful. But we have to be really careful till what extent we can go. Otherwise, in the name of serving the people of the world, helping the people of the world, we will forget our Krishna consciousness and we will end up becoming slackened in our Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada gives the example of a game of kabaddi. So in the game of kabaddi, when a person enters on the other side of the line, to the extent he is strong, he can take the risk to that extent. And Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, he was like a very strong person. And he brought in a kabaddi, if the person is very strong, he can bring all the other people to his side. But if a lean and thin person, he tries to do the same thing, he'll be gone. Similarly, in the preaching field, Srila Prabhupada, he was like a very strong personality. He went to America alone and he preached this message of Krishna consciousness in such a way that he made drug addicts, those who are breaking all the 4 regulative principles every day, he made them into devotees of the Lord. So therefore, we have to be really careful that when we are helping people, when we are trying to preach Krishna consciousness, we should not be affected by the energy which is there in the outside world. Prabhupada writes, our compassion should raise others from the material platform to the spiritual platform. Otherwise, it can spoil our spiritual advancement. So therefore, if we are not raising others to spiritual platform and we are getting affected by their material conditionings, then in due course of time, our spiritual advancement will be spoiled. Bharat Maharaj, although he was such a great devotee at the level of bhava, but his compassion for the deer, it was the beginning of the fall down of this great personality again in this material world. So this Bharat Maharaj, he became very attached to this deer, and slowly he started neglecting his sadhana. It does not happen in a day or two. Slowly we'll see how Bharat Maharaj became too much attached to this deer, and in due course he stopped his practices, or he would do it superficially. So Bharat Maharaj, he began to raise and protect this baby deer. He would caress the deer as his own child. And doing in this way, he gave up all the rules and regulations. Gradually, he became neglectful in worshipping the Supreme Lord also. And doing all this in due course of time, he actually forgot the whole purpose of himself resigning and retiring from the king and coming to the forest. He forgot his spiritual advancement. So Prabhupada writes, from this we can understand that how we have to be very cautious in executing our spiritual duties by chanting Hare Krishna mantra and following the rules and regulations. It is very, very important. Otherwise, if we neglect doing all these basic activities of Krishna consciousness, thinking that I think I can, give up some of these activities. For those who have taken a vow of chanting 16 rounds, they have no option than to chant. But there are many things about which we have not taken a vow. We have not taken a vow of reading Bhagavatam. We have not taken a vow of associating with devotees. We have not taken a vow of hearing Bhagavatam, hearing devotees. We have not taken a vow of worshipping the deities of the Lord. So all these processes, in due course of time, we may think, okay, anyways, I am doing my chanting. I am following four regulative principles. So I don't need to do all this. Because Prabhupada had said 99% of the devotional service is what? Chanting. And I am doing my chanting. So what is the use of, what is the need? Use may be there. Devotee may understand, okay, need is use, it is very important, but I don't feel that it is needed now. So therefore, if we neglect the basic principles of devotional service, Rupa Goswami says there are 5 most important limbs of devotional service. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana Bhagavata Shravan Mathuravasa Shri Murti Rashadhaye Sevan Sakala Sadhana Shreshta E Pancha Anga Krishna Prema Janmai E Pachira Alpasanga. Association of devotees of the Lord, chanting the names of the Lord, hearing Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, worshipping the deities and going to the Dham. These are the most important limbs. So if somebody says, but Yuga Dharma is Nam Sankirtan, what is the need to do deity worship? What is the need to read Bhagavatam? It is all required so that we can do this one limb of chanting. The more we'll study Bhagavatam, the more we'll hear the philosophy. Siddhanta Buliya Jiva Chitte Nakaro Alas, Iha Hoite Krishna Lagi Sudrida Manas. And Bharat Maharaj is the example. He slowly neglected his daily duties. And therefore Prabhupada writes, if we neglect doing all these things, we will gradually fall down. Our taste in chanting may not increase if we are not very, very strong in our sadhana, in our swadhyay, in our sadachar. So therefore all these things, they are required to make our chanting very, very attentive and sincere. Prabhupada writes, if we deviate from this process, we may fall down even though we may be very advanced. And Prabhupada quotes the verse from Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, where it is said, Yagyadana tapah karma na tyajyam karyam eva tat yagyo danam tapaschaiva pavanani manishinam. So there Krishna is saying, few things should never be given up. Austerities, sacrifices, charity, and daily duties. Natyajyam. They should never be given up. Because these purify even great souls. So this Bharat Maharaj, what was he thinking? Because although he was neglecting his duties, but what was his consciousness? Why he was neglecting his duties? What was his philosophy? So Bharat Maharaj was thinking that, oh, this deer, it is helpless, alone. He has lost its relatives by the force of time. And, it has taken my shelter. With full faith and dependence, it has taken my shelter. And then he was thinking about himself. He was thinking, I should not be envious and neglect the deer. but I have to raise this deer very nicely, protect this deer, gratify and fondle the deer very nicely. Then he was thinking that even though the deer is disturbing my spiritual life, I realize that a helpless person who has taken shelter cannot be neglected. So this is the thought process of Bharat Maharaj, very logical, Just like Arjuna, he was giving very logical reasons in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He was saying that I cannot kill all these people because of so many reasons, and it looked very, very logical. So here, if outside person, if he hears this, he will think, wow, Bharat Maharaj is such a great personality. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, naturally, such an advanced person thinks of the suffering of people in general. However, if one does not know that material sufferings of conditioned soul, it can never be ended, and he becomes sympathetic towards the material sufferings of a person, then in due course there will be a fall down. And that's what happened with Bharat Maharaj. Prabhupada writes, if one is actually sympathetic to the fallen, suffering humanity, then what he should do? He should try to elevate people from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. That is the only way one can help the humanity. All other things are accessory. So therefore, Bharat Maharaj thought that it was impossible. Actually, he forgot that I have to elevate my consciousness, and by elevating my consciousness to spiritual consciousness, I can help this deer. And he forgot that actually I cannot elevate an animal to a spiritual consciousness. I can just pray for this personality, but I cannot help him. So therefore, we should understand, in the ultimate course, we cannot do anything for the material body. What we can do is we can raise the consciousness of person to a spiritual consciousness. So Bharat Maharaj thought that renounced personalities who are cultured and saintly should neglect their important interests to protect the surrendered. Very, very logical and very, very thoughtful. Bharat Maharaj is giving all these logical reasons. He's saying, I am a renounced person, I am a cultured, I am a saintly person. Why should I care for my personal interests? I am interested in going back to the spiritual world, but this deer is dying. If I'll not take care, who will take care of this deer? So therefore, we have to understand that material comforts will never satisfy a person. The happiness is available. Happiness of the senses is available in every species of life. Sukham aindriyakam daitya dehinam dehi yoginam sarvatra labhyate daivad yatha dukkham mayatnatah. The happiness of the senses is available in every species of life. Even if one does not aspire, does not struggle for it, he will get the happiness. Similarly, just like we don't aspire for distress, distress comes. Similarly, even if we don't aspire for happiness, happiness will come. So Prabhupada writes, one should not give up this interest of attaining the favor of Lord Vishnu at any cost. All the material things may look very, very attractive and moral, but the highest interest of a living entity is to attain Lord Krishna. Nate vidu swarth gatim hi Vishnu durashayaye bhairarthamaninaha. Nate vidu. People who are materialistic, they don't understand that the highest welfare activity of any person in this world is swartha gatihi Vishnu. The highest swarth, if somebody wants to be selfish, highest selfishness is to serve Lord Vishnu. And then Bharat Maharaj, he became so much attached to this deer. He would lay down with the deer, he would walk with the deer, he would bathe the deer, even ate with the deer. Similarly, and in this way, his heart became completely bound to that deer in affection. Sneha. Sneha pasha. He was bound in that sneha pash. And Bharat Maharaj, he would become fearful many times. In this forest, there are many ferocious animals. They might kill the deer, and he would go himself in the forest to collect the soft kusha grass. He would collect flowers, he would collect wood, and he would collect kusha grass to keep the deer warm, peaceful, comfortable. In this way, even if he would go to the forest, he would not leave the deer alone. He would keep the deer on his shoulders. And sometimes when he would sleep, he would keep the deer on his chest. And as Bharat Maharaj is petting that deer, he would feel great bliss. So we have to understand Bharat Maharaj, what all he left. He left the whole kingdom of Bharatavarsha. Bharatavarsha is a huge kingdom, and ultimately he became attached to the deer. You know. So therefore now he's not thinking, oh, what I have renounced my whole family kingdom, and now I'm becoming attached to a small deer. So therefore we have to understand that why Bharat Maharaj glided down more and more in this attachment to the deer, because there was nobody to tell him. There was no association. Bharat Prabhu, what are you doing? You have given up such a great family kingdom and you are getting attached to a deer. If there would be some devotee, he would have told him that this is not good. This shows how a devotee association is required at every step of our life. Even if somebody is at the level of bhava, there is a need for association. Otherwise, it is very difficult. If somebody thinks I can practice bhakti alone, he does not know the essence of bhakti. Because Krishna becomes pleased by somebody who serves his devotees. Ye me bhakta jana partha name bhakta shate jana mad bhaktanam chaye bhakta te me bhakta tamamataha. So Krishna is saying, those who tell that they are my devotees, they are actually not my devotees. Those who are devotees of my devotees, they are actually my devotees. So therefore, in Bhagavatam we find that all the great devotees, they pray to the Lord, please give me association of your devotees. Dhruv Maharaj prayed, Bhaktim muhu prabhatam toime prasango, please give me association of devotees. Prahlad Maharaj is praying, please give me association. All the great devotees, after getting darshan of the Lord, what they are asking for? They are asking for association of devotees. Because that is the greatest treasure of a devotee. Devotee association is the most important thing. That will take us in the journey to Krishna consciousness, and we'll reach this ultimate goal of Krishna Prem only by mercy of the devotees of the Lord. So therefore, one who is serious in advancing in spiritual life, he should be very careful that he should not be attached to anything material, and he should never leave Krishna consciousness. He should never leave the devotees of the Lord, because devotees are very, very rare. Shaile shaile manikyam maurtikam na gaje gaje chandanam na vane vane sadhu nahi sarvatra. Every stone is not diamond. In every elephant's head you will not find a jewel. Chandanam na vane vane. In not every forest you will find chandana trees. Similarly, sadhu nahi sarvatra. You will not find devotees everywhere. So that's how Bharat Maharaj, he glided down. He became more and more attached to this deer. And in due course of time, he became so distracted from his process of bhakti that when he would worship Lord, at the intervals, he would get up and see, oh, where is that deer? Is deer around? And when he would see that deer, then he would be satisfied. And then he would bless the deer, oh my dear, may you be happy in all the respects. So this is how we have to understand Bharat Maharaj, who was at the level of bhava. Slowly and gradually he became distracted. As a devotee, we have to understand that Maya Devi works very gradually. She will not even allow us to understand that we are losing Krishna consciousness. slowly we'll give up our taste. Our taste for Krishna consciousness will go down if we are not attentive. In today's world of distractions, if somebody says, okay, I can see some news on my on my mobile, there is some news I'll not see anything else, because I am a worldly man. I need to be aware of what is happening in the outside world. And then he logs in, he starts surfing for the news, and slowly what happens, so many other things come up, and then hour is gone. Next day you would think, no, today I will just see news for 5 minutes, and again slowly the same thing will happen. And over a period of time, if you continue the same habit, the taste for bhakti will go down, taste for chanting will go down, taste for Hari Katha will go down. That's why we have to be really careful. This pastime of Bharat Maharaj, Krishna puts his great devotees, we discussed in the first chapter, why Krishna orchestrated this whole pastime, just to teach all of us. Bharat Maharaj is a pure devotee. He, after few lifetimes, he went back to Godhead. But why he had to undergo all these things? For two reasons. First of all, Krishna wants to show that inattentiveness in the process of bhakti is very dangerous. Secondly, Krishna teaches through his great devotees how, if you are not in association of devotees, you will be distracted from the path of bhakti. And we should never doubt that how this great personality fell down. This is all orchestrated for all of us, so that we can understand. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that, while he would worship the Lord, Bharat Maharaj, he would think, oh, I don't know where the deer has gone, and he would get up and see, and then after he would find the deer, he would experience lots of happiness. Sometimes when he would not see the deer, his mind would become very restless, agitated, like a miser. He would become like a miser who had lost his wealth. That's how he would become disturbed. And when he would not see the deer, he would become completely full of anxiety. He would lament in separation, and he would become so much illusioned that he would speak as follows. He would speak, oh, I am so negligent. This deer is so noble. Like cunning hunter, my mind is always filled with cheating propensities and cruelty. But this deer is such a nice entity. He has full faith in me. Although I chastise him, criticize him, but he does not take any offense. Like a gentle person, he returns out of his kindness. Prabhupada writes that Bharat Maharaj thought that the animal was disappointed in his protection and had left him for the protection of a demigod. So actually that day what happened, the deer, it went for grazing the grass, the deer did not come back. So Bharat Maharaj is now extremely worried and anxious. He's thinking, shall I see it again? Oh alas, is it possible that I shall see that animal again by the will of the Lord? Then he would think, should I go and see where the animal is? Because I did not give him proper right soft grass, that's why the deer had left me. Perhaps the deer must be eaten by wolves or the dogs or the tiger. So all these thoughts are coming in the mind of Bharat Maharaj. Prabhupada writes, from the materialistic point of view, such kind of thoughts may be very laudable. Wow, such a kindness, such a compassion for a small animal, very appreciable. But Prabhupada is writing from spiritual point of view, the king was actually falling from his spiritual exalted position. He was becoming unnecessarily attached to an animal and he was degrading himself. From sunrise to sunset, he was searching. Sunrise again happened, but the deer didn't come back. and is thinking sunrise is the beginning of all auspiciousness, but it is not so for me because the deer has not come back. Now sunset has come, sun is setting, yet the poor animal has not returned. He became completely illusioned. And then in illusion, Bharat Maharaj is comparing the deer to a prince. He's thinking that when will this prince among the deer return and drive away my mind again, by his personal activities. He says, certainly I have no pious assets. I have lost all my pious assets. Otherwise, the deer must have been returned. He completely gets into illusion. And then he says, he then actually admits that he was distracted in his spiritual activities. Bharat Maharaj says, seeing my feigning meditation, feigning means artificial meditation, because Bharat Maharaj, he would do yajna with his closed eyes, but he is not meditating on the Lord. His mind is completely in thoughts of the deer. So this deer, what it would do, it would circumambulate around this Bharat Maharaj, and in great love, he would do, and the deer would do that. So Bharat Maharaj, out of love, he would sometimes chastise the deer, and this deer, he would become fearful sometimes. And sometimes this deer would touch Bharat Maharaj with his very, very soft horns. And Bharat Maharaj says, it felt like the drops of water. So that's how Bharat Maharaj is completely absorbed in thinking that this deer is my child. I have to give full protection to this deer. Chakravarti Thakur goes into the details of the thought process of Bharat Maharaj. So he says that when deer would come and he will approach Bharat Maharaj, who had his eyes closed. So he would chastise the deer. Oh fool, though I nourish you, I will not give up my daily duties of remembering and chanting. I am giving you up. Go wherever you want. In anger, Bharat Maharaj, that is an artificial anger, he would tell all that. And then pretending to be angry, he would fake samadhi. He would close his eyes and he would fake that he is in samadhi. He would pretend to be angry. Then again he would develop a desire to see the deer. So that's how Bharat Maharaj became completely attached. And then he thought, oh, this deer, I chastised him by putting him away. Sometimes the deer would contaminate the offerings, it would eat the sacrificial ingredients, and Bharat Maharaj would chastise the deer. And he's thinking all that. As he would chastise the deer would become immediately fearful and sit down in a corner motionlessly, just like a son of a saintly person. That's how he's thinking all that. Then Bharat Maharaj, after speaking like a madman, he goes out. Now he cannot contain himself. He goes out and he sees the footprints of the deer on the ground. And then he's speaking to himself. Oh, unfortunate Bharat, your austerities and your penances are not significant compared to the austerity and the penance performed by this earth planet. Just see, what Bharat Maharaj is speaking. He's saying, my austerity is not enough. It's insignificant. And this earth has performed lots of austerities. Why? Because the earth is marked with the footprints of this deer. So this is the level Bharat Maharaj is gone. Here in Bhagavatam, it is described when the ladies of Mathura, they would glorify Mother Earth. When they saw Krishna entering Mathura, so just by seeing Krishna, they glorified the Braj-dham. They glorified Vrindavan. Vrindavanam sakhi bhuvo vitanoti kirtim yad devaki sutapadam bhujalabda lakshmi. Vrindavanam sakhi bhuvo vitanoti kirtim. Vrindavan is spreading the glories of this Mother Earth. Yad devaki sutapadam bhuja. Because Mother Earth is marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna, who is son of Mother Devaki. And here what Bharat Maharaj is thinking? Bharat Maharaj is thinking earth is fortunate because it is marked with the footprints of deer. And he is glorifying the footprints of the deer. He says, oh, just look at these footprints. They are small, beautiful, auspicious, very soft. And he says that they must show the path to regain my wealth. What is that wealth? That wealth is a deer. So now he is thinking that deer is my wealth. And then he says, then these footprints, they have made this land suitable for performing all the sacrifices. So this is the condition Bharat Maharaj went to. Somebody may be thinking, how is it possible for Bharat, from such an exalted person, to get attached to a deer? Of all the animals, to a deer, after giving up his whole kingdom. That's how material nature works. We may not even imagine to what level we may fall down if we are not careful. If we are not attentive, if we are not careful in our practice of Krishna consciousness, Maya Devi can really take us on a toss. At present, Maya Devi does not take any of us seriously because she thinks what this person will do. He cannot do anything. Even if, just like Hiranyakashipu, when he would raise his eyebrows, just raise his eyebrows, demigods would tremble. That's how Maya Devi sees all of us. Even if she raises her eyebrows, our all bhakti and devotion may be gone if we are not taking shelter of devotees, if we are not taking shelter of our chanting, if we are not taking shelter of Bhagavatam. That's how Sanatana Goswami, his heart, his love, his friend was Bhagavatam. Madek bandhu matsangi madguru madmahadhana madnistaraka madbhagya madananda namostute. So we call ourselves Vaishnavas, and Vaishnavas means one should fall in love with Bhagavatam. Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. So therefore, the more we read Bhagavatam, the more we associate with devotees, the more we'll be protected. Prabhupada says, writes in the purport, 23rd verse now we are in. It is said that when a person becomes overly involved in loving affairs, he forgets himself as well as others. And he forgets how to act and how to speak. Prabhupada gives a very nice example. He says, a father is so much attached to his son, even if the son is born blind. The father many times named that son as Padmalochan, lotus-eyed one, but he's blind. But still he's naming him as lotus-eyed one, Padmalochan. So that is how Bharat Maharaj was seeing all good. You ask a mother will never find any faults in a child. We have heard in this pastime of Veena, he was so very sinful, so very cruel, doing all sorts of sinful things. But still, his mother, she was so very attached to her son, Sunita. She was so very attached that she was crying, and she stored his body when he was killed by the Brahmanas. And then Bharat Maharaj is roaming in the forest, and then he sees the moon. Seeing the dark marks on the moon, Bharat Maharaj is remembering deer. He's saying, has the compassionate moon given the deer shelter? Because moon is looking like a deer. Knowing that, the moon must be knowing that, this deer have strayed away from the home, and now he has become motherless. So I will give protection. That's how he's thinking. Moon has given protection so that he will be protected. The deer will be protected from the lion and all the forest animals. And now Bharat Maharaj is in complete fire of separation. All the devotees and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they say, I am in separation. I am suffering because I have no taste. I am in separation. Durdaiva midrishi, mihajani nanuraga. Bharat Maharaj is having separation from the deer. So he says, the deer was like my submissive son. And now my heart, which is like a land lily, it is burning with the forest fire of separation. So that's the condition of Bharat Maharaj. And only if I see the beautiful face of my dear, then only I'll be relieved. It would be, splashing a nectar on my, burning heart. And then in this way, Bharat Maharaj, he became overwhelmed by an uncontrollable desire. And then, as he's searching all over, he continues his thought process. And because of the inconceivable time, it is described that the insurmountable death approached Bharat Maharaj like a venomous snake entering a mouse hole. When a snake enters a mouse hole to eat the mouse, it is the same way death approached Bharat Maharaj. And in this verse, in the 26th verse, it is said that how but by fruitive results to his past deeds could Bharat Maharaj have fallen from the mystic yoga? So this is the verse which is written, Swarabdha Karmana. Swarabdha Karmana means by the past deeds. Chakravarti Thakur writes, what is this past deed? He says, there are two types of prarabdha karma. One is auspicious prarabdha karma, other is inauspicious prarabdha karma. What is this auspicious prarabdha karma? It occurs by the will of the Lord. Whatever is happening in the life of Bharat Maharaj, it is happening by the will of the Lord. Why Lord is doing all that? Because of two reasons. We heard the same reasons in the first canto, if you remember. When Narad Muni as a small child, he left his all hurt and mother died. He went to the forest, did tapasya, and Lord appeared for some time and he disappeared. He tried his best to again meditate and see the Lord. He could not see. Lord spoke. Oh Narad Muni, oh my boy, you will not be able to see me in this life because of two reasons. First, because you have not become purified yet. Second, I want to increase your desire to see me. So therefore, Lord acts in certain ways to purify the desires of the devotees. And here also, Chakravarti Thakur writes that this prarabdha karma, which is auspicious, it happens by the will of the Lord, because Lord wants to increase the devotees' longing for love of God, and he wants to intensify the bhakti towards him. So therefore, we may experience that even after practicing Krishna consciousness for so many years, still there is no taste. Still I am sleeping in Bhagavatam, still I am sleeping in chanting. We should not be discouraged. Lord may award love for chanting, taste for chanting, or may not award. If he is awarding the taste for chanting, that is very wonderful. If he is not awarding, there may be two reasons. Either we are not struggling enough, or Lord wants to increase our desire to get that love of God. So Chakravarti Thakur says that when Lord puts the devotees into trouble, then it is the will of the Lord, and Lord shows this mercy only to the devotees who are at the stage of bhava. So we should not think, oh, Lord is putting trouble in my life because I am such a great devotee. Till the time we are at the stage of bhava, Lord will not do that. Because if Lord puts trouble in the life of ordinary neophyte devotees like us, we will leave bhakti, we will give feedback to our seniors. Aap hi jap karo, I am going, enough of this devotional service. So this is the auspicious prarabdha karma which Lord gives to those who are at the stage of bhava. And Chakravarti Thakur gives an example. It is like a sharp ointment which is applied to the eyes. Although it burns the eyes, but the result is the eyes become more and more healthy and clean. And second is inauspicious prarabdha karma, and which is because of the actions of the previous lives, which is manifesting later as absorption in the material life. So Prabhupada clarifies in the purport of this 23rd verse, 26th verse, why did Bharat Maharaj fell down? Prabhupada writes, Bharata purposefully became over-addicted to the deer and neglected his spiritual advancement. To immediately rectify his mistake, he was given punishment. What was the punishment? A deer body. And that was for a very short time, We may think, he had to take 3 births. Bharat, then deer, then Jad Bharat. But if you see over the time span of eternity, it is nothing. So immediately Lord rectified the mistake of Bharat Maharaj. And he did it just to increase the desire of Bharata for mature devotional service. What is the proof of that? Bharat Maharaj remembered his past life even in the body of a deer. He was anxious to go out of the deer body. And in this way, he intensified his bhakti and he received a Brahmana body in the next life. So that's why Prabhupada would say many times that if a devotee commits some sinful activities in Vrindavan, he gets the animal body in Vrindavan, and that is the last life for that devotee. After that, they are promoted to the spiritual world. So then after this, Bharat Maharaj, as he was dying, he saw the deer sitting by his side. And just like a father when he dies, son sits by the side of his father. So this deer was sitting by the side of Bharat Maharaj as if he was lamenting for the death of Bharata. And in this way he left his body. And Bhagavad Gita we have heard, Antaka yamyam vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever form one remembers, he attains that form. So Bharat Maharaj, he attained a deer body as if, due to past karma. As if due to past karma. But even in the deer body, he did not forget the various incidents. Prabhupada writes. That's the difference between Bharat Maharaj acquiring a deer body and others acquiring different bodies. Bharat Maharaj, even in the body of a deer, he could remember his past life. How is it possible? It is only possible by the mercy of the Lord. Bharat Maharaj had lost he had destroyed all his karmas. Karmani nirdhati kintuja bhakti bhaja. It was all happening under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. And then Bharat Maharaj, when he became a deer, he was lamenting. He was lamenting for his foolishness. He was thinking, oh my God, just see, I performed such a rigid devotional service in my past life, and I gave up everything. I gave up my home, wife, children, family, kingdom, everything I gave up. I became so very self-controlled, and I was constantly hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping the Lord and doing all the sacrifices, remembering Lord Vasudev. But see, just see, out of my foolishness, I became attached to a young deer and fell down. So as a deer, Bharat Maharaj remembers everything. Prabhupada says, this is the special concession for a devotee. This is very, very significant for a devotee. Prabhupada writes there, if we misuse our condition, if we misuse our position and think that we are fully engaged in devotional service and can do whatever we like, we have to suffer like Bharat Maharaj. Very strong statement Prabhupada is making. If we are practicing devotional service and we think I am a devotee now, I can do anything. I can, do some, manipulation in the government laws. After all, I am a devotee. No. As a devotee, we have to be really ideal in our character. So we should not, that will be namno hi balad yasya papa buddhi. That means I am doing devotional service and based on that I can do any wrong thing I want. That will be an offense. So therefore, Prabhupada writes, by the grace of the Supreme Lord, a devotee, if he acts in such a way, he'll be punished, so that his eagerness to attain Lord will increase in the next life. So that's how Bharat Maharaj, although he became dear, he did not forget his memory. Tatha nate madhava tavakat kvachit bhrashyanti marga tvai baddha saurida tvaya bhigupta vicharena nirbhaya vinayikani kapamurdha suprabhu. Bhagavatam describes devotees may fall down from their path of bhakti, but they do not fall down like ordinary materialists or mayavadis. They become completely attached to the process of devotional service and they never leave the process. Even if they fall down because of some conditioning, some anarthas, very soon they again become situated in the path of Krishna consciousness. Shipram bhavati dharmatma sashva shanti nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. My devotee will never fall down, O Arjuna, he'll never be destroyed. Krishna is telling to Arjuna, please announce, please declare it boldly. So Krishna is teaching us how we have to be completely focused in devotional service. If we are not focused, if we are not attentive, a slight distraction may cause lifetimes. We are, the current times which we are living in, it is a time of the greatest distraction humanity has ever seen. All the smartphones and social media and the gadgets and everything is there. You know, if somebody does not check his smartphone for a few minutes, he goes into distress, agitation, completely restless. They become completely dependent on the gadgets. If we become so much dependent on chanting, on reading Bhagavatam, then we can advance much more. Of course, we have to use all these things, but we should know there is a very, very thin line. If we are not attentive and careful, we may fall down and it may cost our life, not this life, many lifetimes. So therefore, we have to be very careful not to waste our time in all the topics of the world. What this politician is saying, what is happening to this film star, why did he commit suicide, and what is this COVID thing happening, what is the conspiracy going on behind this, what all pharma companies are doing, what is this politician is doing. Everything, it will come and go. But if we are not attentive and careful, we may lose our devotional service, and it may take us few lifetimes to go back home, back to Godhead. So that's how we have to be really, really careful. And then Bharat Maharaj, he was really repenting. Why I wasted my time? He became completely detached now in a deer body. He left his mother in a deer body and he went to a Kalanjar mountain. That was his birthplace, you know. And he went again to the forest of Shaligram Shilas. He went to the ashram of Pulatsya and he started associating with devotees of the Lord. A sincere repentance is very much required. We may fall down, we may have anarthas, we may have our conditionings, but we should be very, very sincere in our repentance. Jata Shraddho Mat Kathasu Nirvinna Sarva Karmasu Veda Dukkhatmakan Kaman Parityago Apyanishwaraha. So Krishna understands, he recognizes that, oh, these are my devotees, although they are not strong. Jata Shraddho, their Shraddha has risen, taken birth, although it is very soft. Jata Shraddho Mat Kathasu. Their faith has risen in my pastimes, and the result is that Nirvinna Sarva Karmasu. They have given up all sense gratification. Material attachment has gone down because they know Veda Dukkhatmakan Kaman. They know sense gratification leads to misery. Parityago Apyanishwaraha. Still they are not able to give it up. I know everything. I know I should not do this, I should not see this, I should not go to this place, I should not talk to these people, but still I do it. Then what should I do? Krishna is acknowledging our condition. Parityago api aneshwaraha. He is not able to control. Tato bhajet mam pritaha shraddhalo drinishchayah. Then what we should do? We should continue practicing devotional service. Tato bhajet. Still, even though we fall down and again, but still continue practicing devotional service with shraddha and with determination. I will become purified in due course, for sure. And doing all this, what should be our mood? Jishamanashatan kaman dukkho darkam shagarhayan. Although somebody may engage in all sinful activities because of conditioning, but still, we should sincerely repent. Repentance pleases Krishna. Sincere repentance pleases Krishna. So that's how this Bharat Maharaj, as a deer, he was repenting. I lost my opportunity. I was at the level of bhava, but still I fell down. And in this way, throughout his life as a deer, he was completely detached. He was not interested in eating all the nice grass. He would go to the place where devotees would speak Krishna Katha. And in this way, he was very careful not to fall victim to the bad association once again. He did not disclose to anyone, but he would remain in a secluded place, eating just dry grass, dry leaves. And then, in due course of time, he took bath in a holy place and he gave up his body as a deer. And in the next life, he became Jad Bharat. So that is the end of the 8th chapter. We'll stop here. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. If anybody has any questions, they can put on the chat. There's a question which has come. Is there only through human body platform we can go to the spiritual world? If Lord desires, we can go through any body, but general principle is, a human platform is conducive to think about Krishna. Otherwise, we hear pastimes where even a dog, we hear in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a dog got association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, got liberated. But the general principle, that is all, these are all mercy cases. We should not think that I will also become a mercy case. Kripa siddha. There is a sadhana siddha, there is a kripa siddha. So if Lord shows kripa, anybody can go from any species of life. But it is very risky proposal if somebody thinks, nahi, main to kripa leke hi jaunga. I will not do all this sadhana bhakti. That is how. Okay. So anybody has any other questions? Okay, so now we'll have class on Monday. So tomorrow we'll not be having class. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.